Hey there. Sorry I'm late with this. I've had a vet emergency and technical issues, and this is the third time I've recorded this, so I got my fingers crossed. If you're seeing this, it means it finally worked. It's just, it keeps getting corrupted. I haven't been able to figure out why. So I'm going to try this one more time before I shoot the computer. Okay, so what are we doing this week? This week you're going to be doing your first source analysis for Unit 2. So let me show you what that looks like so you don't have to stare at my frazzled self for too long. Here we are. Oh, and by the way, the introductions and ideas, I'm going to putting some more comments on them this afternoon. I hope. I was gonna do it this morning. I looked at it briefly and went, okay, that's good. And then I was gonna do them and then record this, and things went completely sideways. So I will finish those up this afternoon so you'll know if I think you're going in the right direction or not. Okay, so there's that. So this is what we're up to this week. Let me show you this assignment sheet. Here's your question, rhetorical introduction. Now, this is what you're getting ready to do, okay? You don't have to write this out yet because you sort of got a little bit of an outline in it of it in the Padlet that you just wrote. So you can go back and flesh this out later because you got to start on it. So what you're doing is at least this part of it. This is what I'm going to show you what we do here. That's the stuff. Okay, and then for the week for your assignment this week, you're going to do whatever your first source is. You'll do all four of these sections. And if you'll notice on the source stuff, it's not just the URL, but it's AP or MLA format, APA or MLA format. Don't worry too much about it right now. I'll go over it in class next week. So as long as you've got the URL, you're fine right now. The summary, you can do it yourself. Again, it's the main idea and the supporting ideas like this one. In this article, this is the author, talks about what, okay, come up with. And then here are the supporting ideas. Have long been the core areas of research. Recently, scientists did this. They've also found evidence of something else. All right, so it's very short. It's just the main idea and the supporting ideas that you've taken from it. Pull out 2 or 3 quotes, and then this is what I'm going to go over this right now, the rhetorical analysis. So what this student wrote here was the overall purpose of this article is to inform the readers what was being used in the past when looking for a cure to diabetes. Got the S. And what scientists are working with now. In the article, Terry Dargia, there we go, sorry, starts off by explaining what was being researched in the past, find a cure or medicine. Then she moves along to explain the current discoveries. She explains, even if it was successful, unable to prevent it. The information given, this is his analysis, is to help the readers understand the research that's being done and what's being done now. The author also uses emotions, okay, and facts to appeal to the readers and makes them want to keep reading, help, and learn more about this never-ending disease. Okay, so that's one of them. This one down here, again, talking about the main goal. The article is mostly using what they're using. Okay, so we're going to be looking at how to do this. So how do we put one of these things together? Well, one way to do it is to use, I'm going to go back over here so I can show you where it is. Okay, we look at the rhetorical triangle. Remember this little guy? This is how you can kind of start. And this is what we're looking for these analyses. Uh, here's your text. And in my field, anything is a text that you can make hold still and examine, like a video or a graphic novel, a written text, anything. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And so this is what we're working with right now. Who is the author? What do we know about them? What do we know about their credentials, etc.? What assumptions can we make about them based on, their credentials or their biography? Who the audience is you think they're talking to? It's usually a primary audience, but there could be other people who are going to want to read it too. For example, if you are a cat expert and Dog Fancy comes to you and says, can you write an article for our dog owner readers, what cats are good for dog houses? Okay, so you would change what you know, and you would write it, you would direct it at that particular audience who may or may not like dogs in the first place. Right? On the other hand, if Cat Fancy magazine says, can you write an article about what things cat owners should pay attention to about bringing a good dog into the house, and what are some good dogs? So you would be addressing the cat owners who may or may not like dogs, or who already may have some. Right, so you change the tone, the language, some of the examples, based on who that audience is. And it may be any number of people who are going to read it, not just dog owners or cat owners, just people who are generally interested. The third part is the purpose. Now, usually with a text, there's three things we're trying to get done, three purposes: information, persuasion, and entertainment. And sometimes, if you're lucky, all three happen at the same time, but it doesn't always happen. Right. So you have to kind of figure out which one of those it is. And then you get into the text itself, doing things like looking at the genre, which we did last time in Unit 1, because it was a personal essay, which means it had, certain what we call conventions, rules that everybody who creates one uses. Hello, Cat. So that's the genre. So that tells you something about the text, about who the audience is too. Why did they choose this particular genre to address this audience? Mode means, the simple explanation of mode is it digital or analog? Okay, the language use, have they used certain kinds of appeals, which I'll talk about in a minute. So this is all about how the text is put together. So this is what you're going to be looking for, and just in general when you're doing these things. So that's available to you. The dog is cranky, the cat's cranky. Sorry about that. Something you can use right here is this worksheet. Now you can download this sucker. You do not have to. You do not have to fill it out and submit it, but you can certainly download it. So let me walk you through it. Here, you can put the URL on here. If you download it into your Google Drive or something, you can copy paste the URL in there. The brief summary of content, you don't have to do that right now, at least not for this part, but you will when you get it written. So who's the author? Here are questions about the author. Remember our triangle thing. What do we know about this person or the organization? How do we know that? You figured out from the language they use, from who created their website, from their research or other research. What's their attitude about this? I mean, these are just things that, you're going to ask about getting to know who the author is. Who's their audience, their first audience? And then if there's a secondary audience, like I talked about, what's the occasion? Why did they create this right when they did? Was it web, or was it in a print thing, or was it, on video, or was it YouTube or TikTok, or what? What's the purpose? What was the author trying to accomplish? Again, specifically, if you want to do inform, persuade, entertain, which one of those, and how do you know that? And then here's the genre questions, what made this one the best to address that particular audience? To talk a little bit about the conventions. If it's a visual genre, how, with the use of images, sound, colors, where text was placed, how does that affect the impact of the text overall? The tone, can you tell the creator's feelings by the words and phrases that were chosen? Now, here are these appeals I was talking about. You may have run into this in high school. There's logos, pathos, and ethos. Some logos is the use of facts. If you're trying to just convince somebody trying to tell somebody something or convince them, you just want to use the facts that are, these days we're in post-truth world, but there are still facts, right? So if you want to just use facts, try and, give information to somebody, that's called logos. If you're trying to use emotion, like you're telling a story about somebody and how they were affected by something or what they were doing, anytime you drop another person in and you're telling a story about them, that's using ethos, which is emotion, pathos, which is emotion. And then ethos is the third one, is how credible is this author or information? How, is this a real person or a real organization, or is this just kind of come out of nowhere, made up stuff? Okay. And then there's some more questions here. It's, the acronym is a crap analysis. It's not my acronym. I got it from a guy who teaches at a Jesuit university, but these are also important. Is it timely? Does it matter when it was written? Like if you're researching something about contemporary technology and you find an article from 1998, it's probably not going to help, right? So you can just not use that unless you want to do some history of it too. Relevance. Does this information in this source help answer your question or not? Can you verify accuracy? Can you verify this information anywhere else? Is there evidence support what they're saying? You know, have they cited other authorities and experts? And then more on purpose. This is the key part. Does it seem like it's real information? Is it propaganda? Is it misinformation, or what is it? What is it about the language that tells you that it's opinion or, you know, or just straight fact? So again, you can download this sucker and just keep it on your desktop and use it as you kind of write all this stuff down. Now, just to show you one, this was one that I did several years ago. And I'm going to want you're going to want to look at this. This is part of a talk to teachers by James Baldwin from 1963. So here was the beginning of it. And then this is what we did in class. Okay, so who's the author? And we were doing this, you know, synchronously, which is what we would have done today, except we don't have class. And all the students found stuff and dropped it all in here. I didn't write any of this stuff. The students put it all in. This is all about who James Baldwin was. Somebody even put a YouTube of James Baldwin talking in here. Who's their audience? Okay, and people were just kind of guessing. But they looked at the evidence, you know, it was originally published them. It was delivered as a talk, obviously, to teachers. Okay, talking to school teachers. Was the occasion? He was giving a speech at this organization, which is all, you know, sort of confined at that point. What's the purpose? He had a real specific purpose to bring attention to an awareness about civil rights stuff. The genre is a speech. It's nonfiction. The tone is very passionate, and somebody said it was argumentative. Somebody said it was urgent. All of that is true. Okay, and then since we weren't doing a research question, we didn't go through and answer these, but we would have, and they should have. Okay, so there's an example for you to look at. Okay, so now you got all that information together, and you just go back and look at this. Go back and look at one of these examples and give it a shot. Okay, just try to put it together. Bring it in. It's due next week, and we'll work on it in class together. Okay, so this will be your source. Everybody has to have 3 sources, right? And this will be the first source. This will be source analysis number 1. And you can submit it here on the drive if you want to. But if you don't do it before class, we'll do it when we get to class. So this is just a place to dump stuff, because I want to set this up for you so it will be useful to you for the rest of this unit. Okay, so that is what you're doing, is you are writing. You're learning here. You're figuring out how to write one of these, this first source analysis. So get as much of this done for next week as you can. It's going to be a first draft, and be ready to upload it into your group, a group Google Doc, which I'll set up, and you don't have to worry about that right now. But just do this on your own, and that's what you have to do for next week. Now, there's one other thing I want you to do that's very, very short. This is a survey. The beginning of this, it's sort of the part 1 was at the beginning. You talked about what you thought you were going to face, what goals and obstacles. And then this is just another chance for you to say, okay, here I am. I'm almost at midterm. Let me check in with myself and see what's working and what's not. It's just for you. It's anonymous. I won't know who submitted it, I don't think, and nobody else will see it. So, okay, it's only 4 questions. So let me show you what it looks like. I got to switch over to Learner here. And it's right here, right? Simple. Okay, it's anonymous. Your name's not linked to the responses. I just get a big stack of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. So how are you progressing in terms of getting your work done this term? What things have gotten in your way? Now, this is not just for this class, but for the just for college altogether. Just how is this term as a whole going for you? Okay. Don't limit it to just this class. It's for, you know, it's for everything. It's for how you're doing overall. Have you used tools like the procrastination, writing center? They're probably tutoring for other classes. Have you gone to those? Have they been helpful? You know, why, what sort of what's going on with that? There's a difference between studying and learning. There's this cool little slideshow here about if you've never run into Bloom's taxonomy, you can run through here. This is how we learn. Okay, this is how people get information and learn. First thing at the bottom here, you recall facts and basic concepts. Then you understand them so you can explain the ideas. You can use the information in a new situation. You can draw a connection among ideas. That's analyzing, compare and contrast, evaluating, judging whether it's that, and that's part of what rhetorical analysis is, to evaluating those sources. And then creating is producing a new or original work, which is kind of what the RAB is. So this slideshow will walk you through, you know, what all these are, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. If you don't know Goldilocks and the Three Bears, it's this family of bears that lived in the woods, and look it up. I'm not going to go over Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So look up what the story is about. And then this will tell you, this walks you through different things: the remember level, the understand level, and then the question based on that level. Apply and analyze levels, question, evaluate and create. And then there's a question here: what level do you have to operate to make A's or B's in high school? And what level do you need to operate at to succeed in college? So when after you've done that, you can go just close that out and go back over here and just answer that. How do you, you know, what level do you think you need to work? Have you worked at, and what level do you think you need to work at? And what does that say to you about what you might need to do going forward as a student and a college student? And then the last one is just how do you feel about things overall, you know, not just this class. It just uses like a journal. You can use it to talk to yourself. You can write in another language. I don't care. This is for you. Okay, this is to sort of take you from that first thing we did about goals and obstacles and things you want to get done in your life. And this is, okay, where I am and where am I in college at this point? And we'll have something similar to this at the end of the term. So that's the mid-semester check-in. So back up, computer. So here's the schedule. Right, this is where we are, right here. Okay, so do the check-in survey thing. Go over to the Padlet and respond to other people's introductions. Sometimes people have really good information or suggestions about where to find information. So do that. In Perusall, there's a thing to read and annotate. And now I have this on here to do. If you get it done by next Tuesday, or before class next Tuesday, drop it in there. And I'll have a folder set up and I'll put the link in here. Which I was also going to do this morning and ran out of time. If not, just bring it in and we'll upload it when we get into class next week. Okay, one of the two. So let me show you the Perusall. Hello. This one is it's all about how to use quotes and stuff. And when you're using quotes, this just gives you some ways to start to introduce a quote and how to put a quote in something that you're writing. Now this can be useful to you, this class, any class where you're ever going to have to use quotations or paraphrasing. Okay, so you may actually want to download this and keep it. It's from a really good book called I can't remember. I say he says I say he says I, something like that. No, of course not. They say I say, or he, whatever it is. Okay. It's this thing. Okay, so that's, just look at that and see what you make of it, how useful it can be. And then that's that. And let's see, go back over here to the Padlet. See, some people have got their, you know, like I said, this is really a rough draft of your introduction part of the source analysis. All right. So everybody get these up and then comment for each other. My comments aren't up here yet. I was making notes on the, analog notes. I'll go back and put them in there this afternoon. So that's that. That's it. This is the schedule. We're down here. Again, this is what you're going to do, and I will put a link to the Unit 1 folder on here too. So I think that's it. My brain's a little fried from the morning that I've had. So if you have questions, email me or DM me on Slack. I would really recommend that you look through all those things that are on, go back and do this again. That you look at the things that are here that I just mentioned. Just look at them at your leisure. Okay, rhetorical triangle, the general worksheet that you can download and use for help with gathering information. This example, okay, from previous class. And then there's the peruse all thing. And then here's the mid-semester check-in. Right. So go back and review all this stuff. And I think that'll help you get going. So I'm going to stop recording now and get this up. I hope this one works. Get this on the link to this on the announcements page. And get in touch with me if you have questions or problems. And if not, nothing else, I will see you all next Tuesday.